Hi, I'm Anthony Newbold. Welcome to A Closer Look. COVID-19 has changed a lot of things, including how we do the show. And so this week we are on location with the Minister of Finance, who's also the Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Peter Turnquest. Minister, welcome again to A Closer Look.
Thanks for having me, Mr. Newbold.
Yeah, my last guest before COVID and my first guest since.
I hope that's not a bad thing.
I don't know. Well, you're a good man to talk to because the last time it was post-Dorian, and we were just talking about mitigating the effects of Dorian.
Right.
Now, of course, you got COVID-19. The hole is twice as deep.
Indeed. It's unbelievable that you can have two catastrophic events follow so closely, one behind the other. And whereas one was targeted towards Grand Mahama and Abaco, this one threatens the entire country. And so it's a really interesting dynamic, and the effects are even more significant economically.
Which means now you got to borrow more money than you ever dreamed you
would
ever have to borrow.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when we went through the numbers, I, like most Bahamians, I'm sure, was shocked.
Stunned would be a better word.
Yeah, what we're looking at. But the reality is that we recognize that we have to do certain things.
And we addressed this last time. It's come up again. Our neighbors to the south, Jamaica, access the IMF's rapid financing instrument, right. $521 million. Mm-hmm. We are going the same route.
Yes.
$250 million. Mm-hmm. Why should Bahamians not be horrified to hear that we're going there?
Right. So in the first instance, this is a facility that had been advanced to us early in the year because it is a relatively easy loan to get. It's called rapid finance for a reason. It's quick. There are no conditions attached to the loan. It is a low interest loan. And we originally were contemplating whether we would want to enter that loan as a result of Hurricane Dorian. We decided ultimately that we didn't need to, and now we're faced with this pandemic. And again, in the need to borrow funds to face both the tail effects of Hurricane Dorian as well as this new crisis. We approached the IMF again with respect to this rapid finance instrument that they have, and they are prepared to allow us to borrow these funds at a very, very attractive rate, 1% basically, 1.054%. Of course, anybody that's in the market today will know that you can't borrow at that rate. And so it's a very attractive rate for us. There is no conditionality to it. In terms of being a structured program that
them telling us how we have to behave.
Right. Most people think about it in terms of the program that the Barbados may have found themselves in or Jamaica found themselves in, where the IMF actually brings somebody to sit with government and to help them guide through a restructuring process. We don't have that. This is a strictly a loan. Just like any other loan that you would get from the IDB or any of the other multilaterals, or whether from a traditional financial institutions. So this is just a rapid, easy dispersing loan for us that allows us to meet the challenges that we have as a result of these two crises.
And we're talking about loans, we're borrowing money. When do these loans get repaid?
Of course, these will be over a series of time. Unfortunately for us, for any number of years, we've been running deficits. And those deficits have to be financed through loans. And this is why in the first 3 years of the administration, we've been so focused on trying to bring down that deficit number, meaning that we bring down the amount of spending that we were engaging in above the income that we were receiving to pay for it. And so we were successful in bringing that down 67% from the day that we took office. Was projected to be this year $137 million deficit, down from $650 million when we came in. Unfortunately, Hurricane Dorian came, and that caused us to revise our forecast, where we anticipated that we would have a deficit of $677 million as a result of the expenditure to address that challenge. And then the COVID-19 came in. And we're now projecting that we'll be somewhere around 770 million, another 100 million basically, to address the challenges that COVID-19 brought. Of course, you would know that we've had to spend unexpected resources for the medical requirements to get the COVID units at the Princess Margaret Hospital and at the Rand Memorial Hospital in Grand Bahama, to provide protective equipment for our healthcare workers, and then to take care of the social needs of our people during this very difficult time.
Yeah, you may have to spend some more money health-wise.
Indeed. We are anticipating another 18 million in this upcoming year, to address further infrastructural challenges at both the Rand Memorial and at the Princess Margaret. In fact, the Prime Minister would have indicated today that they had a walkthrough of the Princess Margaret Hospital, and there's still quite a bit of work that needs to be done to bring that up to the standard that we Bahamian people deserve. So we will be making further investments in the healthcare system, both on the infrastructure side as well as on the technical and the equipment side.
You've heard this before from the members opposite. I'm sure you're going to hear it again. You're prepared to account for all of the money you've borrowed since 2017.
Absolutely. One of the things that I'm very, very proud about is our track record with respect to transparency. As you would know, we brought into fiscal responsibility legislation that gives us certain requirements for publishing of financial data. And we have been meeting those requirements, as well as we've been issuing quarterly reports, the first time ever, quarterly reports that indicates exactly what we've received and how we've been spending it. And that is available in print, it is available on our website for people, and it's available on social media for people to be able to refer to and to hold us accountable as we try to hold ourselves accountable.
The 67% decrease that you talked about was part of that whole targeted approach with the fiscal responsibility report.
Oh, absolutely.
That is what allowed you to be able to say that?
Absolutely. We have held ourselves to a strict accountability, to a purposely and well thought out fiscal consolidation plan. We got assistance from the IMF CARTAC technical group. We went through a well thought out program, and we were aggressive, where we would bring that fiscal deficit down from 5% of GDP down to 0.5% of GDP over a 3-year period. And as I said, we were well on our way towards that. We had a targeted 1% this year, and we were on track to meet it, in fact, to beat it. But unfortunately, circumstances have intervened. It has delayed that fiscal consolidation target now to 26, 27. Unfortunately. So we're ramping up our borrowing this year because of the demands, and we are, as soon as we get past this crisis, we anticipate and we expect that we're going to be starting to bring that deficit back down to the 0.5 target that we've set for ourselves.
You're not laying off anyone. You're not raising taxes. You're not introducing any new taxes. Mm-hmm. That has got to make it 3 times more difficult for you to deal with what you're dealing with.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. This is not an easy challenge, but it isn't for any Bahamian either. I mean, we're all going through this together. And so we recognize that, the crisis has cost us $900 million in revenue. That has to be replaced somehow, because what we cannot do is add to the misery by laying off people and slowing consumption. This is unfortunately one of those instances where it's counterintuitive to spend money when things are down. But the government, unfortunately, has a unique responsibility to support the economy and to help stimulate it, to get it going. And so particularly as we move out of this lockdown phase and start to see some recovery, the economy is going to need a little fuel. And so the government steps in, it spends money on infrastructure, it spends money on social programs, it spends money on those areas of the economy where it believes that a little bit of fuel will get it to take off. And so this is what we're engaged in now, where we want to make sure that, A, we provide for the health and safety of our people. B, we provide food and shelter for our people, and C, we stimulate the business sector so that they can take over at an appropriate point and maintain the momentum towards the recovery that we all look forward to.
Some very deep budget cuts, but you had to put some little goodies in there for people, like the extra $50 for old age pensions.
Well, absolutely. We recognize that it's been quite a while since the old age pension amount has been raised. And of course, cost of living has been going up year after year for many years. And so what $160 could have bought 5 years ago, it's not the same of what it can buy today.
Not much.
Not much. And then in addition to that, a lot of these persons that receive old age pension are dependent upon their children or somebody else to help them, and they may have lost their job as a result of this pandemic and the lockdown. And so we recognize that there's going to be an extra burden on them, and so we want to try and see how we could best help them, again, through this period.
Talk some more about some other things you got to do, but we got to take a break, and we'll be back with more after this. Welcome back to A Closer Look. I'm Anthony Newbold, speaking with the Minister of Finance and Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Peter Turnquest. Minister, whenever you open up this economy again, that's a lot of coordinating with the Ministry of Education, because right now, nobody's working. And so parents at home taking care of the children. You want them to go back to work.
Yes.
Somebody's got to be taking care of the children.
Right.
You ready to do that? You got to do that, right?
Sure. So by the time the economy fully opens, which the Prime Minister has forecasted should be around July 1, we'll be into the summer months. And so the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture will kick off its summer programs, which we anticipate will still run, as well as all of the other activities that normally happens during a summer period. And again, the parents will go back to work, hopefully, and we start to get things back to some form of normal. As you know, in this budget, one of the things that we've done is to give some relief towards the end of the summer, when we anticipate that persons will start to prepare their children to go back to school. And the Ministry of Education fully expects that we will have in-classroom instruction again in the fall. We have given some tax relief through a 2-week VAT holiday just before the opening of school, again to try and help ease through this difficulty that we know will continue to exist through the fall. And so hopefully persons will take advantage of that. And I want to make this appeal to the retailers to ensure that they pass on the savings to the consumers. A lot of times we reduce duty rates, for instance, and the price never changes, or the price even goes up. And that is very unfortunate, because the whole idea is to stimulate volume in these retailers so that they benefit from increased traffic.
And to help the general public, of
Absolutely.
course. Talking about helping the general public, social services got to have some more money in this budget as well.
Absolutely. We have increased the social services budget significantly, because we do anticipate that there's going to be increased demand on social services, both in terms of the school, back to school activities, but also for those persons who would have lost their jobs. We anticipate that there will be some rebound, but we also anticipate that there's going to be a slow rebound for some industries.
And some people may not get jobs back at all.
Absolutely. And so we do anticipate, and we want to provide for that. And so we do have an increase in the social services budget to account for those persons that we anticipate will be in need of support through this period.
National health insurance. Mm-hmm. Everybody's concerned about health, as we should be,
right.
Especially now we're talking about health. national health insurance. You're putting some money in that too, but
Yes.
it's not being expanded. You're still talking about primary care.
Correct. So we're putting $18 million in additional funding to national health insurance, opening it back up for registration because you might have known that we've slowed down the new registrants. So we want everybody to be involved in this national health insurance. And it is really a focus to try and make the delivery of primary health care effective and cost efficient. We believe that if we have one single payer for primary health care, that will help us to control the cost. And it will also help us to reduce the waste that happens through all of the healthcare facilities that we have. And at the end of the day, we're projecting something like a $62 million savings over 5 years as a result of this shift. So yes, we are still talking about primary health care in the main, but we feel that we have to get this right before we move on. And you know, we had a view, and we still have a view, that we need to address those things that really bankrupt families.
Yes.
And we intend to do that as a commitment. We still intend to do that. But we got to get this piece right and cost it right so that we do not put an extra tax burden on the population.
Whatever we talk about, income replacement and revenue replacement, two issues that got to be dealt with. And I guess maybe that's part of where the Economic Recovery Committee comes in?
So, yeah, they are tasked with not only helping us think through the opening and making sure that we do that in a strategic way such that we don't have any further new cases or outbreaks. Because what would be really disastrous is if we open and then we have an outbreak or flare-up because we'd have to shut down again. And that would be just disastrous. So we want to make sure we do that in a very orderly way, considering all of the things that we can to make people safe. But also they're tasked with looking further down at the horizon as to where business is going globally and the opportunities that exist for us domestically. Because we know that while we do a very good job with tourism, we do a very good job with financial services, both are feeling some pressure. Whether it's the virus or whether it's regulations. And so we need to start looking at other areas that we might be able to excel at and drive not only foreign exchange earnings, but also empower Bahamians to take actual ownership of the economy.
And I want you to start talking about this. I know we're going to have to go to a break, but you know, early in the administration, the Prime Minister talked about the digital side of talking about, you know, applying that technology to the public service, for example, making Freeport this technology hub. Maybe this is the time now to start to focus on that.
Well, absolutely. We are very excited about what we've seen in terms of innovations thus far as a result of this virus. People have recognized that they can't do face-to-face transactions anymore, and so they're really using technology to do business and to create new opportunities.
Coming into the 21st century.
Absolutely.
We got to take this break, and we'll be back with more after this. Welcome back. You're watching A Closer Look. I'm Anthony Newbold, speaking with Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, the Honorable Peter Turnquest. We were talking about the digital economy and taking advantage of that. The tech hub the Prime Minister talked about in Freeport is a perfect time to explore that particular option.
Well, absolutely, and we're getting some interest with respect to setting up some operations in Grand Bahama for digital storage and facilitating the backbone for some of the international transactions that happen electronically. But in addition to that, as I was saying, we're very impressed with how Bahamians have stepped forward to embrace technology in the delivery of services and goods for Bahamians. There is quite a programming community that's developing here. And that is what you need in order to have the real breakthroughs, because as you create an ecosystem and they start to feed off each other, great things happen. And so we're very excited about this possibility and what this will mean for the Bahamas as we move forward out of this crisis. Again, Bahamians have done some amazing things and come up with some innovations, both in terms of the digital space as well as in the manufacturing space that we had not really considered before. And I can really see how Bahamians are going to use this opportunity to not only supply the domestic need, but also to export. And that's, again, when we talk about foreign currency earnings and getting more out of our dollar, this is what we need. We need Bahamians manufacturing, using knowledge-based economy to export so that we earn foreign exchange that we need for other purposes.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you about that in a minute some more. But we're talking about jobs, and a lot of Bahamians, most Bahamians now say that, it's time that we stop paying more than lip service to things like agriculture, for example, because we need to feed each other. That's something that has to happen. Mm-hmm. What are you doing with agriculture?
So the Minister of Agriculture is going to, I think, have a very interesting presentation when he speaks on the budget. But we are investing again in agriculture. I think we've got somewhere around $9 million that we're putting in addition to traditional financing for the Ministry of Agriculture. And the minister has a number of programs, and I don't want to steal his thunder, but focused around backyard farming and small farming, ruminant farming, around greenhouses and the rest, that we believe is going to help with this food import bill and to make ourselves a little bit more secure as it relates to supply chains and food.
Yeah, and as we talk about industries that we may not have explored before or haven't explored enough, solar, green energy.
Yes.
How about those as areas?
Absolutely. So this year we're going to be investing in solar. Government buildings, for instance, we want to make solar powered, particularly in places like schools where they don't really need a lot of energy during the day. Government buildings such as we're in today, looking at constructing car parks so that we take off some of the load off of the grid. We believe we'll save a lot of money from this. I think the overall investment, I think, is around $170 million. We're installing street lights, solar street lights, throughout the country. And again, all in an effort to take advantage of what God has given us in terms of the sun, reduce our fuel import bill, and makes ourselves more green, environmentally friendly.
And I don't know, talking about green, I don't know what this would require. This is a throw in to you. Golf used to be big here.
Yes.
Yeah, build
from,
some more golf courses. You would know, yes.
Yeah, coming from Grand Bahama, I think we used to have 9 golf courses. Yes. We're now down to 1. So there's a tremendous opportunity there. There's no doubt about it. If you ask the environmental people, they'll tell you about the runoff from golf courses and all of that. But we are in this business of tourism.
Yes.
And it is a lucrative business, and golf is an important component of that business. You talk about diversifying the tourism sector. Well, this is a part of what we have to get into and to take advantage of. And so hopefully we will see the investment in the Grand Lucayan and Grand Bahama, for instance, go forth. And as they develop that property, hopefully that will spur the redevelopment of all of these golf courses and create some unique experiences for our guests.
And you don't have to worry about social distancing either.
Absolutely, right. Absolutely. It's interesting because the industry, the tourism industry, has been urging us to open the golf courses.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to social distance.
Yeah.
And I kind of agree with them. I think it's time.
It's time. Listen, something else that the Prime Minister talked about as we come to the end of this. We never have enough time, the two of us, actually.
Yes.
But one of the things he talked about was establishing a database of Bahamians abroad.
Yes.
Has somebody explored that to where it needs to be? Because we need to find out about professions, skill sets that are there, and what would be required to get them to return home now.
Right. I know that there is an effort to do that. Exactly where that is, unfortunately, I don't have that information today. But I know that there is an effort in all of the missions to register Bahamians, to understand the technical skills and the networks that are available for us to exploit, and to encourage those Bahamians who have those unique skills to bring them back to the Bahamas and exploit their talents and our resources here for an overall good.
Some final words, budget debate coming up all of June, some final words for your fellow citizens.
Well, again, I want Bahamians to tune in, to be informed. The Ministry of Finance has a number of outlets for information, whether it's our website, whether it's social media, whether it's shows like this, and we'll be doing a number of these, to make sure we get the facts out to the Bahamian people and they can cut through the rhetoric and understand what it is we're trying to do. As I said in the House, this budget is about the people. It's about supporting people through a very difficult time. The first 3 years was about fiscal responsibility, it's about stabilization. This budget is about empowering people and taking care of them through a difficult period, empowering them with the tools and the resources to be able to take care of themselves. I saw a comment about this being a dependency budget. It's far from that. It is about setting the foundation for Bahamians to be able to stabilize their personal situations and to take advantage of other empowerment tools that are available through a Small Business Development Center, the Bahamas Development Bank, through the farming initiatives, to be able to again, create opportunities for themselves so that when the recovery does happen, and we know it will happen, that they will be in a much better place, much more resilient, much stronger to really take advantage of what we have in this country.
Thank you again, Minister.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for watching A Closer Look. Remember, you can also watch us on YouTube and on Facebook.